Well, hello. I'm Suzanne Nance. I am the program director and afternoon host at All Classical Portland, fairly new to the gang. And when I found out this would be my first pre-concert conversation, I asked what was on the program. And they said Turanga Lila. I said, are you kidding me? Could I get Mozart's Piano Concerto number 21 or something like that? I'm absolutely thrilled to be here, and I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so glad to be sitting next to this man, Carlos Kalmar. We worked together in Chicago. Carlos is, as you may know, the music director at the Grant Park Music Festival, and I did the radio broadcast series there, and I was blown away by the way Carlos programmed and brought things to the public there that would break down barriers and challenge the public and inspire. It was amazing. Not just, Beethoven's Pastoral Symphony, but really important works. So I got to know Maestro's ways before I came to Oregon, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be with you today, sir.
Thank you, Suzanne.
I have been watching previous interviews. I've been listening to what you've said about this piece. And I love that you said, first and foremost, let's see what happens.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see what happens.
I wonder what was in my mind when I said that. Because now, I said that at the time when we were talking about the piece, and not a single rehearsal, nothing has had happened. And I probably talked about it without really seeing that much of Rose Bond's work that is designed with the Turanga Lila as an inspiration. Now I'm past all of this. I'm past every rehearsal. I'm the one unhappy guy, together with all the others on stage, who actually cannot see what you will see. Or let's say we cannot see that well, because Rose uses pretty much anything you can see on stage aside from us, including all the proscenium and the sides to project her video artistry, and that is absolutely, just the idea of doing that is absolutely stunning. And I also, I can relate to this quote that you just said about let's see what happens, because my take is that, first of all, we have to be careful to at least mention Richard Wagner occasionally, because otherwise our half an hour is going to be taken with Messiaen's Turanga Lila, rightly so. And in a way, this is a high-risk endeavor. I am a very firm believer that doing concerts, which is presenting live music, always is high risk. But you know what? There are things that are a little riskier than others. As an old teacher in Vienna, before I was a student there, said, give a good upbeat and leave the orchestra alone. That actually works well with certain pieces, but not so much with others. And this is one of the others. This is a busy, really challenging, tough, majestic, overwhelming, loving, emotional ride for you and for us.
We want to get to Wagner too, and I'm glad you said that. Let's back up. Turanga Lila, Sanskrit words. Turanga meaning time, Lila meaning play or love. And so we have this time, rhythm, movement, play, love song, and expression of over-the-top passion in 75, 76, 80 minutes, right? Depending. Tristan and Isolde play a part in Messiaen's score. It was part of a trilogy, Turanga Lila. Perhaps we should start with the legend. Just a quick overview of Tristan and Isolde that inspired Wagner's music, and then Turanga Lila. So, of course, Isolde is, she's on the ship. I just saw it basically again at the HD Met broadcast. And how many people are familiar with the legend? Yeah. So basically, Isolde is she's a princess, and she's pretty much captured, right, to be taken to marry King Mark. And she's tortured by this because she is falling for Tristan, and she makes a love potion and gets it to Tristan. He takes the love potion, and it works. But she thinks she's giving him a death potion, and what has happened is her servant has changed them. And so our friend servant has changed them for a love potion. And so she ends up having this unbelievable, passionate time with Tristan as she's making her way, depending on how the opera is set. And I'm talking about Wagner's version of it. And then it ends in utter tragedy. So what I love about Messiaen's inspiration for this piece is that there's this love, but it's tortured love. And I think you can hear that in the music. Maybe you disagree.
No. Yes, no, yeah. This music is so complex and brings us so many aspects. And of course, when we designed the program here, it was very intentional to actually put Prelude and Liebestod by Wagner in the first half, and Turanga in the second, because everything has to do with Tristan and Isolde. The interesting aspect of programming something like this together is that you have the same topic, the legend of Tristan and Isolde, as the core of each piece. In one case, it's an opera, it's very concrete, it follows the story, that's it. So and all the implication in the story. And the other is just, Tristan and Isolde is just an inspiration for something that Messiaen wants to express. So there is no story in Turangalila. There is not like, oh, in movement 5, they are at this point. None of that. It's just music, inspired by Tristan and Isolde, amongst other things. So the big difference, aside from opera versus something like a symphony, is also probably to be found in how different a person like Richard Wagner and Germans in general treat the idea of love, and overwhelmingly passionate love, as opposed to the French. Because in Tristan and Isolde there is all the time guilt, all the time. And in Turangalila it's not, not really. And of course Turangalila, there are 3 movements called Turangalila 1, 2, and 3, that essentially are quite abstract and get away maybe a little bit from this idea of love and passion. But I think it's very important for tonight's concert to understand the idea of love and passion in its most intense thing that hopefully, without the part of the dying, we all have in ourselves, in our lives. Because we're not talking per se, to be a little more specific, about the love that we feel for our children if we have them. It's more the love between man and woman. Let's say 2 equals, let's leave the gender outside. 2 equals, and it's the idea of passion that completely blows you away in a way that it becomes, in Wagner, painful, really painful, and in Messiaen, so overwhelming that it's already cosmic and transcendental. But in any case, this is a concert about love, just in very different ways. And Messiaen, well, where can we start?
We only have, 25 more minutes. Commissioned in 1945 by Serge Koussevitzky and the Koussevitzky Music Foundation, he was given absolutely no limits, no time duration,
I think that after this commission, I'm just making this up, but I didn't know you would mention it, but I think this is a great thing. All music directors, organizations never ever said again, write whatever you want.
Right, whatever you want, take as long as you want, and don't specify the instruments. So you might end up with 10 percussionists, an en martineau, a glockenspiel, all sorts of different forces on the stage, and 3 years later, that's what he delivered. I think what's interesting is he got about $1,000 for it then, which is $10,000 roughly now. And in the letter that Messiaen wrote back to the Kusevitsky Music Foundation, he was really concerned about that payment, which I thought was really interesting. He wanted to make sure he would have $10 a day when he came to America, and he said it 3 times in his letter. But I think what's interesting is Kusevitsky was going to conduct it. He fell ill, and at the premiere, Bernstein conducted it. So why do you think Bernstein only conducted it once?
Oh, it's actually, I think I know. He just hated the piece. It's, the fascination even about Leonard Bernstein not liking this piece is fascinating, because we all know that Leonard Bernstein, as a conductor, was one of the biggest interpreters, most important, dedicated interpreters for the music of Gustav Mahler. Now, Gustav Mahler, as you probably know, is big symphonies, hell of a lot of emotionality, and long pieces. And Turangalila is that, exactly. It's really long, it blows you away completely, it's highly emotional, just not like Mahler, very different language. And you think like, Lenny, what's your problem? But the bottom line is, which is called the 7 Last Words of Christ, which is very, in itself, very introspective, very quiet, and very classical. And also that has been choreographed or staged, and that was not the intention of the composer. In that sense, Turangalila, Messiaen's intention was not to be choreographed, video animation, artwork, any of that. None of that really was in the intention of the composer. However, the piece actually can gain a lot of things, and one of them is accessibility. And I think that is very, very important for all of you and us to understand together. This is a piece of music that I am sure probably you, or let me ask the question, has anybody here in the room heard Turangalila live? Live. So you probably can attest this is a piece that it's not the easiest piece to kind of get it. And I think that just for starters, the thought that maybe the visual aspects adds something to the equation. And in our case, and I cannot be more clear than this is not illustrative art at all. This is just inspired by Rose Bond, a wonderful artist, did not do this in order for, oh, here there is love or whatever, let's illustrate it this way, or he isn't. No, it's more, what does the music tell me? And how do I go about it? And I can only tell you that you are going to be blown away. Just let me leave it at that. And I actually think that all I hope for this is, first of all, that you have a very meaningful time and you will talk about this concert. Second, I hope very much that you will realize that you want to see it again. So tomorrow and Monday are your second chances. And certainly I'm very, very hopeful that others will also get to see this in one way or the other, so that Rose's work actually doesn't stay here, because should go and travel.
How many people here saw Bluebeard's Castle? Quite a few. So this, as you probably know, is the second in the Soundsight series. And I would love to give the Oregon Symphony a huge round of applause for this kind of collaboration, this kind of creation and creativity in our community.